And hello and welcome everyone to Lyndhurst Community News. Today is Wednesday, February 12th. And we are about to hit our 2-year anniversary coming up next month. I don't remember the exact date. I've got to actually go back and see the date of the first upload for the very first episode of Lyndhurst Community News. And I'm Brian Haggerty. I'm happy to be here with you. I realize we skipped last week, and the reason why is because nothing new had come up. But, and not much has changed since then. So what I do want to do is read through and address the letter, which everyone should have received. And if you haven't, call the town hall and get your own version of the letter. So this is a letter from the Mayor and Board of Commissioners that was dated on January 15th and received by majority of the township within 10 days of that date. And this is, again, they're addressing in this letter what are really probably the biggest issues facing not only Lyndhurst, but all municipalities. And that is, of course, these affordable housing mandates that the courts force upon us through the state. Now, we all drive up and down Ridge Road, which is getting crowded and more crowded. It's impossible to drive there during certain times of the day. You're better off walking. And we can see the likes of that new development, the apartments that are being built on the old Savino property that are right next door to Angelo's and across from the pastry shop. Look at the size of that thing. Yeah, it's big. We're not used to seeing something that large taking up every inch of land. And as I said, this is why this is such an important issue that people need to be aware of, because you really have to get on the phone and call your legislators and back your local elected officials up, because this is a problem for every single community. Now, for instance, you probably have read this. I know I mentioned this before, but the new number. Now, remember, the state has a formula that they use to determine how many affordable housing units are needed in each community. Well, according to the state's calculations, we are 366 affordable units short so far. And obviously the town is working to minimize that. One of the things that they had done, and I mentioned this on this program about 2 months ago, that they joined a legal challenge, a class action lawsuit, with 26 other municipalities. And, of course, it was rejected by the courts. But the town is committed. This is on appeal. I don't think the appeal has been heard yet. I haven't gotten word. I will let you know when that happens. It's not going to be surprising that the courts would shoot this down. So this really, we need some new, fresh leadership and legislation behind this. Because as I told you, if the township denies a builder from building apartments, he can then turn around and appeal to the county on what is called builder's remedy. And judges all do the same thing. They look at the number that the state has. Okay, Lyndhurst, well, you're short 366 units, so therefore the judges will award builder's remedy to the builder. When and if that happens, the builder can completely bypass our local zoning laws. Did I say that clearly enough? I don't think people understand this, because this is why the town has to work with the builders and just kind of scale it down a little bit, which is what has been done with all these developments. The one up on Ridge Road on the Savino property was originally much larger. I forgot the exact number of units, but the town was able to negotiate and get the units decreased. They are all, from what I understand, 1-bedrooms as well. So, this is important, and I think it's great that the mayor and commissioners got this letter out there, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about all this. When people see apartments going up, they think that the town is allowing this, and the town has no choice. So the letter states very clearly at in bold here, it says, "This board is committed to fighting state overreach that is turning suburban communities into mini cities. We are dedicated," this is the mayor and commissioners, "we are dedicated to preserving Lyndhurst's suburban feel and ensuring it remains a place we proudly call home." Now, by the way, all 5 commissioners, that includes the mayor, are all lifelong residents, all raised in this community, and all agree on this. So That's where we're at with that. So when you see these types of developments going on, you have to understand that this is the state mandating that we do this, and the town has very, very little. And by the way, the Meadowlands region, most of you probably don't even realize, but when you drive over Valley Brook Avenue and you're in the Meadowlands, we have no authority over the zoning. That's all the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. That's all their land. They have the say over the zoning. Now, the good thing is that they've announced that there will be no more housing built in the Lyndhurst Meadowlands. What you are seeing being built way out there at the end of Valley Brook are warehouse space, which is a win for any town, because they pay taxes and yet they don't really use any services. Nobody lives there, so there's no garbage pickup. There's no emergency or fire, police, or emergency services needed. I mean, for the most part. So that's a win all day long. It's so far removed all the way out there that it's not going to interfere with the town proper. But yeah, we don't have any zoning authority down there either. And yet the Meadowlands is included, from what I'm told, in the calculation from the state for why we need 366 units. Because, by the way, remember, this is 20%. So that means we need over 7,000. Yeah, 7,000. So if 366 would be 20% of close to 7,000 new apartments, where on God's green earth in the good town of Lyndhurst are we going to put that many? The only thing that would happen there is, as more and more of these properties are sold by people who've owned them, in some cases for decades, builders buy them and they want to build apartments. And right now, all we could do is hope to negotiate them into a smaller development, because hoping that they would rather do that than wait 2.5 years to win on an appeal in the county, because time is money and builders want to build. So that is very important, and I thought that was worth addressing once again. So pass the word around. When you hear your neighbors or people complaining about development of apartment buildings, please let them know what is really going on. This is something we all need to get involved with. And I think in the upcoming gubernatorial election, which is going to be this coming November, I do believe this is going to be a major issue, and hopefully the public will soon learn what's really going on here, and hopefully get some legislation passed that will give the power back to the communities to make their own affordable housing rules and mandates, and decide what we're going to do, how we're going to handle it, where we want it to be, and not have the state tell us. All right. So the second part of the letter, there's a couple of things here. Property assessments. Now, another reason they put this in this letter was because there was a great deal of confusion. And again, without local news, without the Leader or the Bergenite, which has the Bergenite's there, but it doesn't have a local staff anymore. They just reprint anything that appeared in the local section of the record. But so Lyndhurst, by law, every municipality is supposed to have a revaluation of its properties every 10 years. That is law. There is no getting around that. And it didn't always happen every 10 years. Sometimes it would happen every 12, 13, 14 years. It takes a couple of years just to do the reval. What happened is that the township decided that, and I think rightfully so, I agree with this, and that is that to do an assessment the old-fashioned way every 10 to 15 years is not fair, because some people's taxes, if they haven't had any, if they did some improvements themselves, so to speak, to their own home and didn't need a building permit, but that caused the value of their home to go up, they're going to get slammed all of a sudden with a new revow. And so that's not fair. So what they've done is they've signed on to what is called rolling assessments. This is, more and more towns are doing this. I believe East Rutherford is. I think North Arlington is. And more towns are signing on to this. And what that means is that every year the township will assess 20% of the properties, meaning that after 5 years, 100% of the properties will have been assessed or reassessed in that 5-year period. This helps keeps the assessments in line with the market conditions, and the value of your home, so that it doesn't become a shock to you after a decade. So the reason what got people upset was that we actually had the official revow several summers ago, back I think it was summer of 22, because I remember I had to let the gentleman in, and he had to, walk through the house. He measured the outside, and that's how they get your assessment. Square footage, updates, how old is your roof, how old is your kitchen, your bathrooms, anyway, your upgrading of your electric, all these things come into play. So we had just done that revow, and then the following year, the township decided to go with rolling assessments, which means that, and I was one of them, by the way, I got another slip in my mailbox saying, we missed you. So I had to call up. I called up the tax department, and, they explained everything to me, which I understood because I knew what rolling assessments were, and I had also served as commissioner of that department in the past. So that's why some people got it 1 year and then only to get reavowed again the second year. Now, if nothing had changed on your house, not much was going to happen. And they use this each year to adjust everybody's assessment. But at least this way, you know that everybody is pretty much assessed to market within a 5-year period. So that's what those are about, rolling assessments. So this way you don't have these abrupt and significant changes in property valuations. It just wreaks havoc on people, and it's not fair. So now remember, too, revows do not increase the total revenue collected through taxation. Actually, what happens is the tax rate always amends based upon the revaluation. So it's not like if you see that your assessment went up by, like some people the last time, they said, oh my God, my assessment doubled. Yes, but your taxes won't double. Your assessment may have doubled, but the tax rate gets amended according to the complete and total revow. Now, the other big thing which is important to understand, and again, this is a state issue. I talked about this in the past, accessory dwelling units, ADUs. So these are things such as a garage apartment or a backyard cottage. And these have been another concern of ours because the state, again, made these legal. So the township strongly opposes any changes because this means that somebody could take their garage and put an apartment in it. And generally, it's considered a good idea, like the fact that they're using it maybe for an elderly parent or a relative. Well, that's fine. But that means that once they sell, that now has a separate apartment. It's now a multifamily home. You can't dictate what the next owner is going to do with that property. What about all the parking? That's going to bring extra cars in. Well, and if you're using the garage for an apartment, where are you going to park now? So these are, again, state things. So the state has proposed legislation mandating these ADUs without local oversight. See, this goes right back to what I was saying about the affordable housing. We are losing our local ability to determine how we want to run our township and how we want to zone it. So this could be huge to increase density and put a huge strain on infrastructure. So the township is actively fighting against this, and they remain committed to preserving the town, again, the charm and the livability of the community. And we want to keep Lyndhurst safe, vibrant, and family-friendly, as I always end these episodes every week, about getting to know your neighbors. And we have wonderful people in this community. It's a wonderful family community, and it's safe, and we love this town. And is it perfect? No. Is any town perfect? Of course not. But it's our community, and we want to keep it safe. So get the word out there. People need to understand what the state is forcing local municipalities to do, and this is not in our best interest. So understand that when the elections come up for our state legislators. Hold them accountable. Get on the phones. Call their offices, and you let them know where you stand on these things. And you let them know that as a voter, you expect that they should be representing the interests. I'm not saying they're not, but they need to be told once in a while. Represent the interests of our local people to the state. Anyway, so there's not much going on this week. As I've said, it's quite quiet, and we have the second annual St. Valentine's dinner dance at Mount Carmel. That is to raise money for the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. It was a wonderful time last year. I will be there again this year. And tickets are $40, but you got to get them beforehand. So check my last episode in the comments section, in the description box, rather. You will see where I left the information for Donna Shinnick. She and her husband run this affair. And there will be live music and dancing, and it's going to be a fun time. And as for next Saturday, February 22nd, at the Lyndhurst Library at 11 a.m. in the morning till 12:30, I invite all of you to come and hear my presentation on the International Association for Near-Death Studies. It's a nonprofit global organization. I'm a member. I also am a local moderator. And it was founded by doctors and scientists who, after CPR was created and invented, people were being resuscitated. And these doctors began to realize that people were coming back to life with similar stories about what took place. Things such as even being aware and seeing what was going on in the operating room or at the accident scene or even down the hall in the waiting room, recounting to doctors what they heard the doctors saying and doing, which would be impossible if you are dead, because once you suffer cardiac arrest, your brain waves end. They stop. So this is a fascinating area of study, and you don't need to have had a near-death experience. There are all sorts of other things. This organization does not proselytize, meaning we don't have a creed or philosophy. We are just an open support and discussion and education group so people can talk about these things. In fact, when I had my first meeting a month ago, I was shocked. 15 Lyndhurst people had come, 3 of whom had a near-death experience. And I've known these people, and I had no idea that they had it. And people are now feeling more open to discuss these things. So I'll be doing that presentation on that Saturday. You are all welcome. Just call the library ahead of time so they could make sure that there is enough seats, and light refreshments will be served. Okay, so now moving forward, as I say, we are coming up to the 2-year anniversary for Lyndhurst Community News. And, I hear from people all the time. People say to me, well, you should do the police blotter, maybe focus on some other aspects of news. But one thing I always wanted to avoid on this show was to discuss things that are controversial, because everybody has a very strong opinion. And in this world today, people have very strong opinions. And I don't want to, I don't want to bring politics into this. I will discuss who's running. I'll discuss the vote count. I'll share today's information, because I think that this information about affordable housing and ADUs is important to everybody. That's not a local political issue. That's something that unites us locally. So, weddings or anniversaries of note, birthdays, we get them every now and then. A lot of people are shy. They say, they'll tell me that their mother or father turned 90 or 95, and I'll say, why didn't you let me know? And they're like, I didn't want to make a deal out of it. And I said, it's always a big deal, obviously, when somebody hits a milestone such as that, because we have so many wonderful people who've lived their lives in this town. They're in their 90s, and they've been here their entire lives. That is not uncommon. That's what makes Lyndhurst great. And I always talk about, supporting our local businesses. They are very important. We got wonderful merchants in this community. And I also always remind all of you that we have a volunteer fire department, as well as a volunteer emergency squad, who handles the evenings, because we have paid people during the day because, we need them. And we may have to one day have a daytime paid fire department. We're just very, very fortunate in this town that we have not had to do that yet. So remember, support our firemen, support our first responders, and we have a wonderful police department as well. And so, as I always remind you, that the Lyndhurst Fire Department always wants to remind you to check your smoke detectors. And if you haven't, if they're 10 years old, the sensors in them probably don't even work anymore. Get new ones. They're not expensive. You can get them at Home Depot for about $20. And the battery, 10-year battery, is installed inside of them, so you actually never have to worry about changing the batteries. You're just going to have to mark your calendar for every 10 years to change your smoke detector. But they are very important. They save lives, and the one house fire that we had several months back here, and we had a few house fires, thank God nobody was hurt, but this house fire was bad, and a person perished because there was no smoke detector. So keep that in mind. Anyway, folks, I'll let you know if there's not any more news next week. We may just wait till the following week, and we'll see how it goes. I don't want this to be a useless show filled with useless information, and I certainly don't want to be repetitive. But in the meantime, get to know your neighbors, and remember, a community is not its roads, it's not its houses or its buildings. It is its people. Keep Lyndhurst wonderful. Have a great day, folks. God bless you and God bless our township.